It's 2:30 on mine, so I'll get started. Just wanted to say thanks everyone for joining this session around upskilling your students. I'm going to start with just the acknowledgement of country. I'll just let us all read that ourselves. And I'll just reiterate that we recognise the valuable contributions to Australia and global society. So today's session is going to talk about a couple of things. Firstly, kind of setting up what we agree UQ students need, how the learning development team or the learning advisors can help meet this need. I'll talk to you a little bit about who currently uses us and how they benefit. And the final thing will be how you can make it easy for your students to engage with us. So I'm just going to start with the student voice. There's going to be quite a bit of student voice throughout here because I think it's important to see from a student perspective what they're gaining from engaging with us. So I'll let you just read this comment. So you can see that this student engaged with us in her third year, and she'd been doing well, she'd been doing fine, but her comment was, oh, wow, if I'd only known this sooner. And so that is really what's inspiring me to do this session with you today, is to say, let's introduce our students to things that can help them earlier rather than later. So just a little bit about us. We are learning advisors. There's 5 of us. We're 4.6 full-time equivalent, and we come from a variety of different academic backgrounds. So I'll let you just have a quick look at that. My colleagues all have PhDs. I have 2 masters, one in applied linguistics and one in international development. And between us all, we've got quite a broad cross-section of academic kind of backgrounds. Okay, so let's think about what we want our students to do. And I'm taking an excerpt here from the UQ Learning and Student Experience Roadmap that we were shown in May last year. And it was this idea of really consciously locating students at the centre of our university. Now, there's a couple of things I just want to pull out here. So firstly, it's this idea of personalised support in order for students to succeed academically. And what does that mean? It means it allows them to explore possibilities, to experiment safely, to make their own choices and discover and develop their potential. And then that also requires being supported in their learning and their well-being and having access to things like learning and administrative support. So the context for this session is this idea of flourishing. What does it mean for students to flourish and how might we go about that? So if we have a look at what the data is telling us, this is from the Student Relations Network. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but basically twice a year, a whole lot of student volunteers telephone, literally telephone the student cohort and ask them a series of questions. So this time last year, what we found was that first year students are struggling with 2 key things. The biggest challenges for them were the academic workload and the transition to university. So it's not surprising, we could probably predict that. And continuing students, their biggest challenges were academic skills and balance, work-life study. So if we unpack that a little bit, transition really means understanding university culture, adapting to the study environment, understanding what self-directed learning entails, and also managing that online learning. Both of these cohorts were really struggling with things like time management, procrastination, developing good study habits and routines, finding and keeping motivation, and that life balance. And then workload, the things that they were talking about was the content, lots of content and the difficulty of the content. And that led to a sense of being overwhelmed by workload. So there's a bit of crossover between first year and continuing students. So for our purposes as learning advisors, we really don't make so much of a distinction between those 2 groups. I'm going to ask you to have a look at these 3 things, the overwhelming workload, the balance of life and study and academic skills in this student's feedback. I'll let you just read this. So I just want to pull out a few things. So this Farnaz is from Fiji, actually, and she's in her first semester of a Master's of Governance and Public Policy. Very, very capable student. But she says that she found the workload overwhelming and she struggled to balance her academic and social life. And she was new in Australia as well. So she was feeling stressed and she reached out to us. And she understood that these were the kinds of areas that she was finding challenging. And working with us, so I worked with her in one-on-one appointments for quite a few sessions throughout the semester. And the thing that really strikes me here was that she really enjoyed her semester. She started feeling that she was successful at university and she enjoyed it, as opposed to being overwhelmed and possibly dropping out. So we also talk about the things that students need to wrap around so that they're successful. And you may have seen Lizio's 5 Senses for Success model. This came out of Griffith University and it was around the student life cycle. And they identified 5 key things that were required for students to flourish. So the kind of key one really is this idea of what the university is. What are the core values and principles of university life? And then this idea of the confidence to be able to navigate the systems and access the resources available, which leads to the sense of capability that students have, what is expected of them, and then how might they meet that expectation and how do their skills need to develop. And once those key things are there, then we start to look at the sense of connectedness that might come out of that and that sense of purpose. So again, I'm going to show you a student comment and I'll let you just read that and then we'll unpack it a little bit. So again, this is a Master's of Applied Linguistics student. She was on exchange from China and this was her first semester. And as she said, she came to an appointment with me very anxious, upset, and she really didn't know what she was doing or what she was capable of. So after the appointment, she says that she feels free to explore and express herself. And I link that to this sense of purpose. So suddenly she thought, oh, I've got something to offer and I'm able to do so. And she says that she feels confident, which again is that sense of capability to explore because she's supported. And she's supported by learning advisors, but also others. So she recognized that she had tutors and peers that would support her. So this is that sense of connectedness. But the beautiful thing about this comment is this one, that she feels that the session had been quite healing for her. And what I see there is the sense of culture and the sense of resourcefulness. So her anxiety and her worries about how she would fit in and what she was here for became a bit clearer, and those worries kind of disappeared. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because one, it's really lovely, but two, that we need to normalise the use of learning development services because all students can benefit. And in the past, sometimes we hear about learning development as for struggling students or students who are failing. And I'm here to say that actually, no, every student is here to flourish and they all need all of these things. And we are a way of providing that. Okay, so this was from Vanessa. She was doing a grad cert in business. And there's a couple of things in here that I want to highlight. So again, I'll just let you read her comments. Okay, so again, it's a lovely story, and the students are so generous in their feedback and communicating with us about their experience. So what I want to highlight here is that it was a chance encounter. So she didn't know that we existed, and she just happened to be walking past a drop-in session. Then I want to highlight this one, that she felt that everything was like Everest, and all she needed my help with, because this again was my student, was scaffolding the assignments and organizing things, what to do first, what to do next, where to go and find this, and kind of breaking it down a little bit. So she says that had she not seen us and worked with us, she probably could have failed. She was doing all the wrong things. She had all good intentions, but her study strategies were not going to lead to success. But in the end, at the end of this semester, she received 7s across the board, which is really heartening. So she's a high achieving student, and she still came to see us in the next semester. But she developed this sense of confidence and belonging through working with our services. And so I'm showing you all of this because I want to convince you that we have some shared responsibilities, and our responsibilities are to engage students as active members of a learning community and assist them to manage the challenges. And that means encouraging help-seeking behaviour. And so that means normalising the use of us for all students. So I'm going to show you a little bit about who uses us and what they're gaining. And I'm just going to throw some stats at you. So this was semester 1 last year, and this was all taken from the Student Hub reports. So you can see that these are individual appointments and the numbers of students, total numbers and percentage of students who engage with us. So this purple, they're a 0 in terms of GPA. So they were new to UQ and HDR. And then we've got the students who are on PIP, the students who are passing, and the students who I'm calling succeeding. They're getting kind of above a credit. So you can see that we get a good cross-section of students across the board. A little bit, I'll just show you a little bit of domestic versus international. There's not much difference there. Gender is pretty balanced, a few more females than males. Students by age group kind of fits the demographic of our students, and also with disability. So there's no kind of big interesting things here. Okay, so what do they say about PIP? Sorry, Peter. PIP is Progress Improvement Plan. So students who have not been successful, they're being required to show an improvement plan. Thanks for that. So the new to UQ and HDR students, here's a comment that comes directly from this cohort. So new to UQ is saying that I was given tools and techniques, but most of all, someone to listen and understand and give me the right techniques for my individual situation. So as much as we give students kind of group message, sometimes they just need someone to listen to their individual issue and then give them an individual solution. And that's quite common. This is from an HDR candidate. I really love that comment. I can imagine us walking around in people's pockets. So you can see right from, you know, beginning undergrads right to HDR find these things useful. So the students who are on PIP, the improvement plan, here's a comment from that cohort. And this last comment that the learning advisor was nice, I think that is really key, because sometimes the students who are failing feel like they're going to get in trouble if they ask for help, that somehow they should have it all sorted. And if they failed, somehow, you know, someone's going to tell them off. So it's a very supportive conversation. The students who are passing, so what you can see in this comment is that struggling with motivation, they're just on the edge of, oh, yeah, I'm doing okay, but I'm not really doing as well as I want. And I'm starting to think about maybe dropping out. So that kind of supportive motivational input is key here. And the students who I'm calling succeeding, So you can see here that this student was probably had a really great assignment, and the learning advisor said, you know what, have you thought about this? On the assessment criteria, it says for a 7, you need to do this. Have you done that in your assignment? So it's little things like that, just to kind of help them to do the best of their ability. So you can see there's a range there of different types of things we would do. We also do workshops. We do workshops on all sorts of different skills, techniques, and strategies. And this is just a little kind of snapshot of the feedback on workshops. So again, this is semester 1 last year. We had about 6,000 attendances. And in general, they said it was useful, interesting, improved their skills, and they would do more workshops. And this is a little snapshot of some of the comments that we got from the post-workshop feedback survey, and I'll just let you have a quick look at those. So you can see they're all pretty positive, and you can also see from their comments that the workshops are low stress, they're quite relaxed, they're not difficult for the students to engage in. So that brings us to what you can do. And I would like to suggest 2 things. So 1, encourage your students to seek help and develop their skills. And 2, normalise the use of learning development resources. And I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have available that you can use in your courses, and you can send your students to look at. So we've got website videos, downloadable resources, we've got workshops and programs, and we also have individual appointments. So the first thing is we've got templates, things like the semester planner. I don't know if you saw last year, we had these great big wall poster size semester planners with semester 1 on the background on one side and semester 2 on the back. We have those again this year, and students can pick those up in the library, Student Central, and different places, workshops. We've also got the editable version, which is online. We've got weekly planners, daily planners, things like that. This year, I've created a 3-minute video about how to use the semester planner. So this is something that you could embed on your Blackboard site, along with the QR code and also the digital link to the semester planner. So students can kind of just find it really easily. So there's a direct YouTube link there, or there's the link to our website. We've also got a series of short videos on tips and strategies. These are students talking to students. So you can see here we've got a procrastination one, a time management one, and it's students basically sharing their experience. And these are about 2 or 3 minutes long. And again, they can be embedded into your Blackboard site. We did a series called Study Well, Feel Better, because those things are very, very linked. If you've got good study practices, you generally have better mental health, and vice versa. So bringing those 2 ideas together, again, we've got some short little videos, and you're welcome to embed or send students to look at those. We've got a couple of Learning Advisor created videos as well, and there's one here that talks about what it means to transition from high school to university. So it gives students a bit of an overview about the skills that they need, the differences, what critical kind of active learning means, self-directed learning, and this is about 10 minutes. Again, you're welcome to take this and use it in your own course materials. As well as these kind of general things, we've got some very specific information about different types of writing texts. For example, how to write a lit review, what it means to write assignments, steps for assignment writing, resources that you could link out to, and particularly resources you could embed in your assessment instructions. So, for example, you could say, for more information about how to write a good essay, go here, for example. The workshops that we deliver intensively in O Week, so next week, and Connect Week, but then we also deliver them across the semester. And we do things like the kind of standard 6 here, they're the big ones. And then we also do things on presentations, your first assignment, paraphrasing, things like that. So really encourage your students to join those. You could, if you were interested, organise those and kind of give your students a heads up. If you're looking for skills on this, go here. And you're welcome again to borrow something like this if you wanted to direct your students to a particular resource. We have multi-session programs as well, and you can see that we've got what we call the Skills for Study suite. There's a few different programs there, and we're highlighting, so for example, Skills for Study STEM will focus on the kinds of things that STEM students are likely to get in their assessments, so feeding in some strategies and some study skills, postgrad coursework, etc. So you're welcome to explore any of those, and again, link your students to them. Students can find all of our resources on Student Hub just by using the keyword academic, and that will bring up the list of everything we offer across the semester, and then they can register there. We do a combination of online and face-to-face. The other thing that we offer every week of the semester is a drop-in session, and we call it a drop-in writing support. But the idea is that students come with a question around something they're working on. So they need to bring their draft, and it's first in, best dressed, and we can spend 5-10 minutes or 15-20 minutes depending on how long the queue is. And this has been really well received. We trialled it last year, and we do that in the library. But students can see these events on Student Hub. They don't book in, they just turn up. And then finally, a lot of the feedback I've already showed you comes from the individual appointments. So students just book an appointment with us. They get an opportunity to choose a time. We book up quite quickly because there's only 4.6 of us. So I'd really recommend students to book in advance. So if they think about, if they want some input on a draft, then don't wait until they want that input. Book ahead, plan when they might want it, and then book for that time. So what are the next steps for you? So my request is that you promote us and our resources to your students. So it could be at your program orientation or at your course orientation, on your course site, in your conversations with students, on your discussion boards. You upload the YouTube videos and share our time management templates. And there's a list of marketing approved promotion materials at the end of this slide deck that you can copy and paste into your slides. So the idea is to encourage your students to seek help to develop their skills, not wait till they're struggling, or not even wait if they're not struggling. Normalize the use of learning development for everybody, it's for all of us, and know and understand and communicate to your students that students who access support do better at university. So I'm going to leave the last word again to a student. So I'll let you read this and then we'll unpack this a little bit. Okay, so this was passed on from a Bell course lecturer who recommended that the student go and see a learning advisor. Okay, so the student was reporting back to their course lecturer to say, I did what you said and this was my experience. So, and they passed it on to us. But the thing that I love about this is that she felt a burst of energy to deep dive into weeks 5 and 6. So she was inspired to really get engaged in her course. And also that she felt that the session that we had together complemented the course content. So it allowed her to understand what she was learning in relation to the whole course. Often students see 1 week and 1 week at a time, but with what we did together is we looked at all of the assessment across the course, all of the content across the course, and how things kind of linked across. And so she felt very positive about the whole course. So I encourage you to increase your students' learning potential by engaging with us. And as I say, the materials that you can maybe copy are here. There's a whole list of different things there. So thank you for attending. If you have any questions, we've got about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Please ask in the chat or unmute if you have any questions. Paul, it's a very valuable service, perhaps controversial. Do you think the existence of LA is a consequence of a lack of resourcing at the coalface, or are we? Okay, so learning advisors exist in universities all over the world and all over Australia. Sometimes they're embedded in faculties, sometimes they're centralised like they are here. And I think it's not a lack in any area. I just think it's an add. It's another way that we can kind of provide learning development, really, because courses tend to focus on subject development, and it can be difficult to do both of those things at the same time in a limited amount of time. So I'm not sure it's controversial, but thanks for raising it. Thank you. I'm glad you are going to promote us. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Christine, so many people say that to me. I wish I had this when I was a student. And, you know, in my undergrad life, when I was a 26-year-old and when I started my undergrad degree, so slightly older, I went straight to the Learning Advisor workshops and it changed my life. And so now I look back and I think, yeah, I remember the experience that I had, which was so positive. And yeah, try and promote it to all students. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. And please promote it to your colleagues as well. Anyone who wasn't here, please share. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a successful semester. Enjoy.